going to be talking about the power in accepting powerlessness. Now, if that makes you uncomfortable, I encourage you to stick around because I'm going to be giving you the why and the how to accept powerlessness in your own life. What do I mean by powerlessness? Well, in this situation, I'm simply referring to accepting the fact that we cannot control our external circumstances. Some examples of this would be people, places, things, and situations. Now, some of you may fall into the control trap if you are like me. The control trap consists of thoughts like, well, if this would have just gone the way I planned, then my life would be better. Or if people would just act the way that they should, then I could be more productive or happier, whatever that outcome is that you are looking for. Now, here's the other little caveat to that. We can't control outcomes. And so why I want to talk about this today is actually so that we can become more effective in our lives. And that may sound a little counterintuitive, which is why I'm encouraging you to stick around, keep watching this video to find out why it is so important that we accept our powerlessness or our lack of control and how to actually do that. Okay, let's talk about the why. Why should we accept that we are powerless? Well, I want to actually refer to an excerpt from an anonymous author who I believe puts this so perfectly. They say, acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. I found that I need to be concerned not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as to what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. First of all, why you gotta come for my whole life like that, sis? Dang. Actually, I don't know if this is a woman, but probably. Just chances are. So you will notice that the author used the word serenity. Serenity is an internal peace. This differs from peace. Peace is the byproduct of things going well externally. Serenity is the internal peace that we feel despite what is going on externally. Now, you can guess why this is so important, especially now, but for the rest of the days of our lives, we have got to figure out how to find our serenity despite what is going on externally. So, in that same note, as the author talks about serenity as the result of acceptance, the flip side of that, when we do not accept, it is because we are resisting some person, place, thing, or situation in our life. And we will not know peace or serenity until we accept that person, place, situation in our life. So here's the kicker though. Oftentimes, our lack of acceptance is subtle. We don't even realize that we're not accepting. And we don't realize that we are resisting our lives and what is going on externally. Now, this is what comes back to, or this comes back to the why it is so important. Because if we can accept that we do not have control over the way people behave or speak, over the situations in our lives, and all of the things that we can't control, external circumstances, if we accept that, then and only then can we be effective in the actions that we take. Because if we are resisting what is going on around us, then we're resisting the flow of life and we begin to put our efforts into things that are futile and will never actually pan out the way that we want them to. I call this the control trap. The control trap starts with thoughts, all right? So it starts with us thinking, if this would have just gone the way that I planned, then I would be happy, or then my life would be better. Or if this person, people, would just act as they should, then my life would be easier. This is a trap because there's nothing we can do about those things. I call this a trap because we fall into it without realizing it. It's like a booby trap. It's so difficult to recognize when we are resisting our reality. And as a result of that thinking spurs behavior. And as it spurs behavior, we begin putting our time, our energy, and our emotional well-being into places that are a waste of our time. For example, if you begin to think that if this person would just behave the way that they should, then my life would be easier. Well, what kind of behavior spurs from that? Well, let's think about it. I can just speak in my own situation, in my own life. When I begin to think like this, I begin to focus my behavior on changing that person's behavior, their perspective, their beliefs, the way that they talk to me, the way that they act in my business situation, rather than focusing on my behavior. Because the truth is, the one and only thing that we can control, one thing, ladies and gentlemen, not 10, not 2, one single thing that we can control is how we respond. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about focusing on our responses to be more effective in our business and our personal lives. Powerlessness gets a bad rap. Again, like I said, it's simply accepting the fact that we cannot control our external situations. So if we accept that we are powerless to external things, it allows us to gain that power back within ourselves. Now, this is where the why comes in, because when we can bring that power and direct it toward places that are meaningful, that are going to produce the results that we want, then we can be effective. So I hope I've made this clear thus far in terms of the why. We talked about the fact that it is subconscious and it is subtle when we don't accept our situations, our realities. Then we talked about what happens when we don't accept. We lose our serenity, which is that internal peace. We begin to direct our attention and our emotional energy into places that are a waste of our time. So you may already know these things. This might not be new information to you. I know it's not for me. But let's talk about how to actually go about recognizing and being aware of when we are doing this, and then how to actually accept and then move forward and take the action and put our energy and our attention where it is best spent. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. I know in my experience, I'm always looking into successful people, how they spend their time. And I noticed a theme across this. It is very internally driven, because although Steve Jobs and Jules Swisher had the same 24 hours in a day, Steve Jobs knew exactly how to allocate his time, his energy, his attention into places that were going to give him the life that he desired. So this is what I want to talk about, is some practical tips. And the first thing, number one, is recognizing that this is a practice. You don't accept this one time and move on and go about your business. This is a practice. This is a constant awareness of your response to people. One sort of key emotion that I look for when I'm trying to search and trying to understand what is going on is when I lose my serenity. Now, this is really common. I don't think a lot of us probably have a lot of serenity right now with everything going on. We probably don't. Serenity is a rarity these days. And my goal is to find more serenity in myself. And that's a choice. And that's the good news, is that we don't have to be a victim to these external situations going on. The global pandemic, the fires, the people, the places, and the things that are going on in our lives that we don't like. we don't have to be a victim to that. And so that's the good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that if we can simply recognize when we've lost our serenity, then we can take a look at what we need to accept. And by accepting, I mean stop resisting. So I lose my serenity, that is when the practice comes in. Now, I lose my serenity every 5 minutes, if I'm being honest. So it's really important to keep this as a minute, hourly, daily practice. So I recognize that emotion. What does that emotion feel like? Well, usually some kind of anxiety, anger, clenching is how I explain it, like as if you're just clenching into life, your situations. Those are all really great cues to you that you need to take a look at what is going on in your life that you are resisting. As soon as you can accept those things, now you can get back into your flow. You can find that serenity and you can move forward and take action where you can. I have a mental Venn diagram for every situation that I encounter. I practice this religiously. And that is when I'm in a situation, I think, what can I do and what can't I do? This is the key to directing your attention efficiently. So when I think about what can't I do, some examples. I cannot end this global pandemic. I can't put out these fires. I cannot change the way people are. Can't do it. So if I take that, I accept my can't circle, then I can put it away. And that immediately is like, deep breath. Like I feel peace just thinking about that and recognizing, okay, I don't have to do those things because I can't. So that's good news. Lots of good news here today, folks. If I can't do those things, then why worry about it? Why direct my attention at it? Okay, here's what I can do. I can control how I treat other people. I'm a firm believer that we teach people how to treat us. Now, it's no secret or surprise that in business, people will step on your toes and will kind of default to disrespect. And this happens all the time. And I think, okay, I can't control the fact that they're stepping on my toes, that they are treating me in a way that I don't want to be treated. Here's what I can do. I can teach them how to treat me through my actions. Shutting off your news feed. I said it. I'll say it again. Turn off the damn news. Trust me, knowing about how many new cases there are today doesn't change how many new cases there are today, right? Knowing about who said X, Y, and Z on what and everybody's opinion on how things are being handled doesn't change the reality. So give yourself emotional permission to not read up on every single detail. It is important to be informed, of course, but I'm convinced that I have all the information that I need, right? Which is how to protect myself and the people around me. That sounds like good enough information for me. So in that same token, one of the things that I like to practice are my social media and my news detoxing. So I will allow myself 10 to 15 minutes to get on social media, to read everybody's obnoxious opinions, listen to the Facebook fights, go on to my news feed and look at, whatever news stories are coming up. And then you got to turn that off. Brothers and sisters, turn it off. There's no reason to fall into that trap. That's another trap, right? It's addicting. Every headline is clickbait, and we have the choice to fall into that or not. And today, I'm giving you that power back. I'm putting that choice right back into your hands. What is my energy and attention going to be most effectively directed toward in this moment? How can I serve other people the best? And I can tell you the answer is not by obsessively scrolling through your news feed or the actual news. Like every time I flip my screen to the left, it pulls up all the news stories. So I deleted that. I mean, it's called a widget, I believe, and you can actually go into your settings in your iPhone and turn that off. Okay, so now in order for me to see the news, I actually have to click on the news app, and it's a little bit more intentional. Rather than every time I swipe to the left, I see this overwhelming, anxiety-provoking titles and headlines and clickbait, all just begging for me to get sucked in. And they do it on purpose. So don't be foolish about that. Know that all of these headlines are absolutely meant for you to go, oh my God, what? And click on that and then get all anxious about it, feel like absolute garbage about the world, about yourself, about everything that is going on, and there's just no reason to do it. So delete that widget and get back into what you can do. And again, we kind of went through that, but those are just some practical tips that I like to practice every single day. Now, another thing that I like to do on the professional sense is also control my my inbox. So I will set aside time each hour to check my emails so that I'm not constantly following up on emails and getting distracted from the things that I need to do by responding to a petty email. And then the other part of that is we all get emails every single day that make us angry. I get so mad when I look through my inbox sometimes. People coming at me, misunderstanding certain situations or not, whatever it is. So you have to compartmentalize that. So when you read an email and it gives you an emotional response, you can either choose to wait and respond later, or you can respond now and then make the conscious decision that you are not going to let that affect your psyche for the rest of the day. This is huge. And you have to continuously commit yourself to that, because just because you make that decision at one point doesn't mean it's not going to creep back into your mind like, oh, my manager said what? Oh my gosh, she has got me so wrong right now. Not helpful. So you have to constantly be aware of that and correct those thoughts. So those are just a couple practical, like personal and professional tips in terms of how to accept things that you cannot control, how to compartmentalize, and how to focus your time, your energy, and your efficiency in a way that is productive. So I hope that this helped for you. Definitely comment below and let me know your thoughts on this. Are you one of those people who is resisting? And I think if we're all being honest, the answer is yes. Are these some tips that you think that you could implement? I'd love to hear back from you. Again, I am here to just share my experience, strength, and hope. So I hope that this has helped you. This is actually going to be a part of a 12-part series. So I will be uploading as much as I can each of the 12 parts. And I'm hoping that in total, all of these things will come together to help you be a better, happier person.